Listen, man. Listen, man. Listen, man. Listen. We talking.
Hey, it's Matthew Harvey here with the 12 o'clock siren. Sitting here at the 3 o'clock spot. On my left is James Hartley at the 6 o'clock.
Hey, everybody. Again, Matthew with the fell on the mic. Hey, everybody. And here next to me, I've got Jason at the 9 o'clock spot. Back from the dead.
Glad to be back, fellas.
Welcome back,
Hanging
sir.
in there.
Are you feeling okay?
I'm feeling a little better.
What was it?
Allergies, man.
Chicken pox is what I heard.
Shingles is what we said.
Yeah, you said a lot of stuff.
We did. We were throwing it all out
Said a
there.
lot of stuff.
So you listened?
Yeah.
Said a lot of stuff.
Did you listen then?
I haven't listened.
You haven't listened?
I haven't.
You didn't know he said chicken pox?
I thought he said in the description you said I had Ebola or something.
Yeah, Ebola. That's what it was. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it
Yeah.
was. All right, well, we're
didn't.
back. We're back after 7 days off. This is our 7th day off with no podcast in between, which is our longest dry
Yeah, I didn't like it.
dry
I didn't
run.
like it.
Yeah, we've
It's too
been
long.
excited and waiting for Thursday to get here. Finally, it is here, and we have David Scoop Johnson from all kinds of Leonard lore. We have Bear Creek Country Store. Sorry, Bear Creek Farms. Katie Johnson Inc. And we've got 2 stores, one here in Leonard and one in Bells.
Right.
All right, Mr. David Scoop Johnson.
Scoop Johnson, Leonard, Texas.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming in here. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. One of the first things, I guess we can start it off with when you came here, which was
We moved here in January of 1975.
1975.
I'm gonna out you here. How old were you?
I was less than 40.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I was probably about 30.
All right.
Did you make any immediate friends when you moved here?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that we're very good about. We were very lucky. We our neighbors were Porter and Dorothy Reeves, which were great people, made good neighbors. And Bill Renault, who seemed awful old then. He's probably younger than I am now. He was a good neighbor. And we just, we made a lot of good friends right away.
And you live out, I know you live out 78 west of town.
We've always been out 78. We moved 3 times. We were I don't remember the number of the county road. We moved in about 88 to the new place south of Highway 78, about 6 miles from town, and then we just moved into the old Spurgeon Ranch about last winter.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So what brought you here?
Well, I grew up in the country, and we were working in Kansas City. I was, and we liked it and everything. And then the company I worked for, I got transferred to Dallas. We lived in Richardson. It was very nice. We enjoyed it there a lot. We were right on the edge of Richardson and Plano, and we'd lived there about 3 years, and we started looking around for a place in the country. And we we spent about a year looking,
Okay.
and finally we settled on Leonard.
What kind of work did you do? What brought you down here? You said your company
I worked
transferred
for
you.
HK Porter Company. We sold high voltage electrical equipment to the electrical utilities.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Is that where Katie Johnson comes in?
Yeah, well, I worked for HK Porter Company, and then for about 15 years, and then in '83, they decided to do away with their sales force, and they picked several salesmen to be manufacturers' representatives, or you really represent them. You're not a full-time employee. So that's when KDJ started.
That
being a
became
manufacturer's rep.
that became the entity for the 1099 or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
Now, I know you, and most people probably my age know you as David Scoop Johnson.
Well,
Due to you were editor-in-chief owner of the Leonard Graphic?
Yeah, we were here, and we kind of, I was traveling a little bit, and Jeannie kind of wanted something to do, and so it definitely wasn't the newspaper.
Yeah.
But where I grew up, I had an uncle that was in the newspaper, and I always kind of wanted to major in journalism, and I always wanted to be a writer. So I thought, well, the best way to do that is just buy a newspaper. So it wasn't an easy sell for Jeannie, but
But got it done, huh?
Got it done, and it was a very good experience. We enjoyed that a whole lot.
So take us from one of my questions. What was your title, your job description when you started and when you finished with it?
With the paper?
Yeah. And Jeannie as well.
Well, we didn't go much for titles. It was primarily just Jeannie and I.
Yeah.
We always had one other person, Patsy Grimes, I know worked for us for quite a few years, that set the type. Jeannie did the hard work. She worked very hard at going out and gathering the news and everything, and I would take pictures. We even had our own dark room. It was
I was going to say this is non-digital era.
That's right. We had the computer when we started was really not a computer. It was a typewriter, and it wasn't even a justified typewriter. You know, you couldn't justify the margins.
Sure.
So my sister always joked we had more hyphens than anybody she ever saw.
Hey, what year did you guys acquire? I guess you bought the paper itself.
We bought the paper in late '79, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was longer than I realized.
'79 or early '80, and we had it until 2000. We had it about 22 years.
Yeah, that's a
Really.
good run.
That is a very good run.
Who did you buy it from?
Patricia Tony.
Patricia Tony.
And her family had the newspaper for I don't know now really how many years, but they were good newspaper people.
Sure.
Because Betsy told us it's been running for 100
Since
and
1890,
Yeah.
right?
100
Yeah.
how many years?
You know, I'm not sure. It is over 100 years. It's 119 years or 20 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
I think
Continuously circulated, I believe.
Yeah, I
was
think
the
it was
term.
1890 or something.
Yeah.
They said. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Having a direct, correlation back to the. I mean, you all bought it from Patricia Tony. She probably bought it from somebody else, and then they probably bought it from the.
Her family, her father, I can't think of his. He was still alive, but he had a stroke, I think, and he couldn't run the paper. But he came in and visited quite a bit. Good fella. He was he was a good newspaper man, and then Patricia ran it. I don't remember really who helped her. She had some help,
Sure.
but it was a newspaper family, and they had it for quite a few years. I'm not sure the number of years, but
Well, it's just interesting to me that y'all were probably the third or fourth owners since inception of 1890.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that's kind of a
And
direct link
also
to the past.
Independently run as well, right? It's not a conglomerate or
No, it was,
it hadn't been eaten up
when-
by some
When
sort
we
of media
bought
company.
it, Patricia owned the Celeste Courier and the Leonard Graphic, and for 5 or 6 years we published both papers.
Really?
And then it just got to be kind of a hassle, so we just put it all into one paper.
Sure.
Just the Leonard
Cool.
Graphic.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it wasn't a digital age. You've got a green room. You've got to be on scene with a camera, and it's film, and it's kind of a different game altogether. And how difficult it is to do something like that and put all those stories together with, no emails, and you're probably faxing a lot. How did all that work?
Well, we didn't. Like when all the Life with the Papers, I wrote those by hand.
Yeah.
Which Jeannie, I don't know how she did the editing, and there were a lot of errors in a lot of those articles, but I couldn't. But
I
you're
always
right.
imagine that you're just sitting there on the front porch,
yeah.
writing out your thoughts, and
Well,
that's just how it came off to me.
Well, that's about the way it was. That's about
okay, good.
yeah.
So is Jeannie out on the beat, or is she taking photos?
beat.
And I guess it's called the beat as a
that's
reporter,
good. Yeah, no, that's
a
good.
journalist.
We both took photos, and Jeannie took some. I took probably most of the photos, and boy, that was. Well, Fred Conker lived here then, and he was a good photographer. I don't know if you guys
I
knew
don't know.
him,
No,
but he tutored me on how to develop the pictures and everything. Patricia had somebody else develop them, and we built a dark room. We built it at our house first, and then I would do that at night. Like on Sunday night, I'd be printing the pictures.
Sure.
And we finally moved it to town. We built a dark room in the graphic building. Well, at first we were in across on the square.
where at? Which building?
It's the building between Eugene and where Eddie's building is now.
Oh, okay.
The old pink building.
Yeah, it was owned by Bill Murphy,
Okay.
and we rented that.
And I think we learned from another show that it was
It came up. I don't
dude,
remember.
I think it was a general store. Maybe those original Galdens.
Maybe. Yeah.
Is that
Oh, that could be.
It's the same
original
building.
Galdens? Maybe went Galdens, then it went.
I know Patricia. She was in where the restaurant is now in the corner of the square.
Yep.
And I think they had a fire,
Ah.
and then she moved over to that building. And when we rented that building, but there was no dark room there. We had our dark room at home, and then
So
that was not real good.
how are you getting these papers out?
Well, I think it was Thursday morning, we made the main page, then laid out the main sheet, and then we took them to the Bonham Daily Favorite, and they printed them. So, like, I don't remember sure whether it was Wednesday morning or Thursday morning. We'd take it up there about 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'd wait, and then we'd bring the papers back,
Oh,
and then we'd have to
fold them
and do all
Oh,
that.
wow.
Or
Yeah.
if something had to go into stuffing or something like that, well, there wasn't much of that then, and then take them to the post office.
So you had it until 2000, huh?
Right.
And so that's kind of the digital age kind of started taking over then. Was that kind of what precipitated the sell? Like it's just kind of a different game. More people are getting their news online. You know, what were your thoughts when you saw it? You're just tired of doing it?
I think what happened is when we moved, after 4 or 5 years, we moved to the old graphic building down on the square. We purchased that building, and about that time they came out with a computer that was an enormous, big thing, kind of about the size of a roll-top desk.
Yeah.
Ah,
And that was computerized, though, and it was justified and everything, so you could. So we kind of welcomed the digital age.
sure.
I think we call it setting type, but you just typed and it went right on there. Patsy Graves did a lot of that for us.
That probably made things much
Made it a lot easier,
Yeah.
a whole lot easier.
Jeez.
You still laid the paper out the same. You'd print out a column, and then you'd paste it down on the sheet.
Yeah.
And then you'd put a black sheet in there for the picture,
Sure.
just a blank,
Right.
and then you'd send the photograph up there with a black and white photograph up there with the newspaper, and then they printed it all out for you.
Yeah.
So
But we didn't, and then toward the end, we bought a more sophisticated computer, and that made it easier.
Sure.
Still easier. But we weren't worried about the graphic was very good to us. Leonard was great for that because Leonard was always been kind of a
Slow to adopt the digital stuff.
No, Leonard is business wise they were very good because we had a grocery store. They always advertised.
Right. Sure.
We had 2 banks,
Yeah.
3 banks really. Trenton, Leonard, and the Celeste Bank all advertised,
Right.
and the drugstore always advertised. So we had our own.
Built-in revenue streams there.
Yeah, and it was kind of its own little business district. It was its own little market, and we didn't try to go to Bonham or places like that for advertising.
Yeah,
We
that's
were-
great. Yeah, a connected network of small business, really.
Yeah, and we were a small local newspaper and supported by the community very, very well.
Sure.
And all the businesses here and everything.
Well, it was memorable to me for sure.
Absolutely.
yeah.
What,
for
speaking
sure.
of memorable, what's one of your more memorable good and bad stories maybe over the years that you guys covered, maybe local and national? If you want to go that far.
I don't know if it was that bad, but we right after, I think just a week or 2 after we got the newspaper, the high school burned.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
And so that was, we had to cover that.
I'd always heard about the fire burning, and
Yeah.
I heard stories. The old gym we used to.
You've seen pictures, right?
I've seen maybe a
I think
picture and heard
Are
many
they not
stories.
in the history of Leonard book that you have? Here?
Probably.
They probably are, yeah.
The old gym is still there, but the high school,
So
which had an
what-
auditorium and everything, and it burned to the ground. And then
Jason,
What were you going to ask, Matthew?
I was going to ask you what you were going to ask. You perked
it's
up
where
there.
the covered area was when we were in school. Do you remember
Right.
the covered area?
Yep.
Mhm. It was what, 2 or 3 story building?
at least 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
the big slide that was in the back playground, that was the fire escape for
I remember
for that
and I
building.
just learned not long ago that was a repurposed fire
Mhm.
escape.
The one that would burn your legs off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dangerous.
Cut you.
It was
And we
dangerous.
really it was kind of baptism under fire because there was a lot of controversy then in building the new school, whether we should build a new gym with it or,
The
just
new school
Sure.
being
yeah,
the junior high?
which was the junior high. It's
Now.
a junior high now.
Okay.
There's a big controversy whether to build a gym with that. Everybody knew we had to build a school.
Right.
A lot of people didn't want the gymnasium. It was 2 segments, so that was kind of a pretty
That's a
controversial.
big local story then.
Yeah.
It was back when
what's-
people cared about how they spent their money and were
Yeah.
thoughtful about it, right?
Yeah,
What-
there were a lot of opinions, good opinions on both sides.
Sure.
And it was
Sure.
What was your opinion?
well, I think we leaned toward the building the new gym,
Yeah.
Sure.
you know.
Progress, right?
Hard-hitting expose here on the 12 o'clock siren.
We told you this would be a gotcha piece, right?
We had a lot of letters to the editor then.
Little did
Pros
you
and
know.
cons.
Little did you
This
know
is an ambush.
your political opinions from 1979 would come back to haunt you later.
Your journalism skills are rusty.
I guess the other interesting thing that happened, and it was not that long. It was an election year when David London ran for I don't know if you guys would remember that. He was elected as a state representative, and it turned out that he had more votes than people had voted. And, so there was a big controversy.
I think that's still
Kinda
going
tough to
on.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
So, covering definitely covered local news. Did y'all cover any of the national stuff like the Challenger or Reagan being shot, anything like that?
Well, we would maybe do an article like that,
Sure.
but we didn't.
Didn't lean heavy on it.
No, we didn't. We just kind of let that be the.
Yeah.
We considered ourselves a local newspaper.
Sure.
We didn't really.
Well, that's your bread and butter.
Yeah, right.
So,
right. And people, you know,
You're finding more about that from ABC, NBC,
Right,
and
right,
CBS. It's
right.
not your ground to cover.
I think it's fair
Right.
to say that's actually kind of how we view this podcast.
I was
It's,
just thinking that. Yeah.
we want to cover some national stuff, but our bread and butter's here local.
I've thought of a lot
Right.
of parallels between what we're doing here and what you've done and what the graphic is still doing,
Yeah.
and just being connected into the community. Like I said, small businesses supporting each other earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty
absolutely.
cool. What going back to the fire? What started the fire? Because I don't know any of this story. I just know a fire.
I don't know if anybody ever. I don't know if anybody ever determined it was an old building and probably poor wiring and so
About
I
the
don't-
time to go,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah, I don't.
So, hearing you explain the ins and outs of running the paper, it sounds like it consumed a lot of your time. Do you care to talk about that?
It did
I
take-
guess you and Jeannie were. Sounds like you guys were busy all day, every day.
Well, Jeannie, it was a full-time job for Jeannie, and I was still working for HK Porter or starting the rep business, so I was traveling quite a bit, and some of the life of the papers I wrote on the road. But it was time-consuming. It was.
Did it ever take its toll on you guys? Did it become a burden?
No, I think we enjoyed it. I think Jeannie enjoyed it. It's kind of like there's never any end to that.
Sure.
You get
Sure.
the paper out and then you start again the next morning. It's
Yeah.
kind of like having a dairy farm. You never really get finished.
Yep.
But we enjoyed it, and you mentioned why we might have gotten out of it. Our rep firm really began to grow a whole lot toward the end of the 90s.
Kind of got too big for
Yeah,
you.
and so then is when we decided just to sell the graphic.
Yeah, when you can't devote enough time to it, maybe.
Right,
it's time
right.
to-
It was, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. The graphic. Sorry, what were you saying? No,
Go ahead.
I just lost it there. Sorry.
Oh well,
No, I do know where I was going with that. All the while, you're raising 2 girls.
Oh, yeah. And that's the one thing that bothered Ginny
So-
and I a little bit. Is,
And to go back,
Yeah.
how old were they when you came here? You already had a family
Annie O
established,
was,
I would think.
Annie O was 3, and Annie O was 5. Annie O was Annie O was in the
I'm putting you on the
second
spot.
grade. Annie O was in the second grade, and Barbara is 4 years younger, so she hadn't really.
Okay,
She was.
so you got some little ones.
Yeah.
You got your hands full. You just dove right in it.
Oh, yeah, and that's the one thing that we worried about a little bit is Ginny, because there's a lot of evening work with the.
Yeah,
grass
so they're probably
paper.
helping you out a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah,
as you get
they-
older, anyway.
Yeah.
Did they ever have any role in the paper,
Oh,
working it or delivering?
maybe a little
or-
bit. Not really. I
Yeah.
don't know. No, because we mailed the paper. It always went to the post office to be mailed.
I believe Miss Annie O is James's
Youngest.
Youngest, yes.
She's teaching my youngest son.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, I'm sure.
Kindergarten.
Yeah, he's he just started kindergarten this year. I'm sure she's got her hands full.
She loves it.
I'm glad. No, I think he loves her. He comes home talking, so everything's going smoothly so far.
And you guys moved out here and bought land. I know you raise cattle. Have you been doing that since you moved out here, and are you still you're balancing a herd as well?
Yeah, when we moved here, we had small acreage when we moved here, and then slowly we've grown that quite a bit. And we have, for a while there, we had sheep. The girls started showing sheep, and then they quit showing when they got in high school, so I ended up with quite a few sheep. And then we got rid of that and went back into the cattle business. So yeah, we've been real lucky. We've purchased quite a bit of land around here and everything, and so we do raise cattle now.
Sounds like you've got a big focus on the cattle now.
Yes.
Angus,
and we have a good-sized commercial herd too, Angus and Hereford cross.
No, that's both showing and then...
No, we don't do any showing. We do have registered Angus.
Okay.
But, occasionally if somebody wants to show calf, but we don't emphasize that. We do more as a seed stock producer, and then commercial cows.
What's seed stock mean?
Raising good cows that'll be that go into commercial herds,
Sure.
to improve the cattle breeds for other people.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Like a premium
yeah, I mean it's just
quality beef, I guess?
I don't know if you would. Are they registered or you?
Yes, we probably have a pretty good herd of registered Angus cows.
Right. No.
And then.
Yeah, my dad runs what he keeps referring to as a commercial herd, and that's just that's playing a lot with genetics and different breeds just to get like if at auction if they dock you for this one's showing too much ear, or this one doesn't make a good enough bag. You kind of play
pig-eyed.
with whatever
deep in the heart girth.
Yeah, you kind of play with the genetics of to get what they to bring top dollar for the meat market, really.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's very good. We raise the registered Angus we sell to other registered breeders primarily. Bulls we sell to commercial breeders, just exactly for what you're saying.
Yeah. My dad's probably embarrassed now because I just kind of stumbled my way through that. I'm sorry, Dad. Sorry,
No,
Dad.
you did good.
All right.
And you guys are selling actually the Blue Bonnet Meat Company, right?
Yes, we are.
correct?
Yes, I see. We were there this
Oh,
afternoon.
look at that tie-in.
How you
they
like that?
brought us meat. I'm just
sure did.
saying.
We were
Did
hoping
they bring you-
we were hoping you'd bring
I
a
said
calf.
about you some summer sauce. I'll bring you some summer sauce.
All right.
That's made at Blue Bond. It's very good.
Oh, it
nice.
is. It is. Big fan.
He's got a cow tied up outside.
Yeah, he was like, well, funny you should ask.
Little Angus Hereford.
No, we enjoy working with them very much. We probably take 4 or 5 steers a
think
month up there to them.
I think I've bought a couple with your brand on it. Your not brand, but your logo, your name.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was.
Good.
I did.
He keeps going back, so.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's really good. What kind of herd size are you running?
We have about 200 mother cows, Angus, and then about 200 commercial cows that are.
And this is all for food.
Yes.
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, the
Never
registered
know.
registered cows.
Making
are-
sure.
Yeah.
I know it's not for show. I guess it must be
Wow.
for food.
We've had real good luck with the commercial cows. We take several pens a year over to Fort Worth, the commercial sales over there. And we had the championship pen over there one year, a couple of years ago, and the first place pen last year. So it's been fun.
200 head of commercial cows and then another 200 of your seed stock.
Yes. The
So
Angus
400 head
registered-
total, huh?
Goodness.
Yes.
Well, you got your
That's-
hands full.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 4 full-time employees.
Yeah, that's not hobby farming.
on the No, it's a full-time
Goodness.
operation. It's fun.
Yeah.
The ones that are winning acclaim in Fort Worth, that is based off of
Those are commercial cows, and they just
how good they look and how well they'll probably cut up.
Yeah, the quality of the cows. Now these are cows with calves normally, young cows, and they're going into somebody's herd. They're
Sure. Not
Yeah,
going to the butcher.
They're not going to the butcher. They're-
Right.
Gotcha. They'll make somebody else's herd better.
Right.
Just filter up, hopefully. Your Fort Worth stock show rodeo, is that like January, February, or something like that? Is that the one you're
This
going to?
sale, it's a commercial Hereford sale or commercial heifer sale, and it's usually the first week in February.
Cool. And
Yeah.
you sit on a board?
I'm on the Texas Angus board of directors.
Explain.
Texas, that's a pretty good deal. They have-
Explain a little about it. I know nothing about Texas Angus or the association.
Well, there's American Angus Association, which is all the members of across the country
AAA.
that raise Angus cattle, and then each state has a local organization.
Sure.
And I'm on the board for the Texas Angus Association, which is made up of people that raise Angus cattle.
Yeah.
There's probably 800 members of the Texas Angus
wow.
Association. It's pretty.
So
Wow.
I got a little bit of a bone to pick with the Angus folks. Though.
Yeah.
Now, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but now, isn't it true that anything with a black hide can be called an Angus when it's packaged up for consumption?
Well, not really. I think what happens, that's getting to be a bigger deal. The Angus have done a very good.
Their marketing people are great.
Yes, yes.
They've convinced the world that Angus tastes better than Beefmaster
Yes.
or whatever.
And black cattle are very popular now.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it
Have
says
been
it on the
quite some-
Texas Roadhouse menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
But there is a certified Angus cow. And really what that I think, and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but it has to be primarily Angus. But like we also raise Hereford cows, and then we cross those. You get a black Brawley cross,
Sure.
which people like.
right.
And those can sell as Angus beef.
So like an F1 cross can sell as an Angus beef.
If it's primarily Angus,
Right.
and if it's an English breed,
Okay.
you can't
Right.
cross like with a
Like
Charolais or something like
Simmental
that.
or something. Yeah.
No, it has to be an English breed.
Gotcha. That's interesting. Okay,
And
well,
the
that's
ones,
good. That
the
educated
ones we
me.
take to Fort Worth are an English breed cross because
Sure.
they're saying Angus and Hereford cross.
That's why I said Hereford.
Hereford, yeah.
I picked up on that. Saw what you did
My
there.
mom says it all the time, so I can't not say it.
Right. So have you ever taken the beef cattle short course down at A&M?
I've been down there.
Really?
Yeah,
I've always wanted to go. I haven't done it yet.
it's pretty good. It's crowded. It's good.
Really?
What
Yeah.
is it?
It's just for cattle raisers.
Beef
it's
cattle short course?
Yeah, it's just it's like a week long or something, right? It's
Yeah,
4 or
it's
5 days.
Yeah,
Like a workshop on cattle
Yeah.
breeds
Yeah.
and
a lot of meetings and talks and everything. It's good. It's
Cool.
informative.
There's another thing I've been trying to get to. Shout out to Master Sergeant Russell Snow, the Lassiter Method for Cattle Raising. It's a book. A guy out of Alabama wrote it years and years and years ago, and it's Russ owns a small, very, very small self-sustaining farm. He's into sustainability and things like that, and he runs Belted Galloways. And he did not come from a farming or ranching background, and he taught himself how to run cattle off of this book. And so I've been meaning to order it and read it. He raves about it. So
What's the name of the book?
the Lassiter Method, I think. I'll send you a link here. Apparently, if you order it on Amazon, it's like $300. But if you call them directly, the guy's son, it's like $30.
Oh, wow.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Well, so maybe we can get them to sponsor. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
When
yeah.
do you what do you do as a board member?
Well, we have about 5 or 6 meetings a year, and a lot of conference calls. We help. I'm on the committee to help put out the Texas Angus News, which has turned into be a pretty good magazine.
You're still in the
Yeah.
biz, huh?
Yeah, and
Scoop still applies.
yeah, I don't do much writing. I just help. Primary deal there is to sell advertising, but and then we also put on 4 sales a year. We have a sale over here. First time we've had one up here, and I really kind of pushed for this. We're going to have a sale in Commerce this year. We've always had them in South Texas. You know, all the.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm getting a little tired driving 300 miles every time we.
Make it closer to
Yeah.
home.
So we're going to have a sale October the 12th it's a female sale over in at Commerce A&M.
There you go.
Okay.
That's part of the Texas Angus
Texas
Association.
Angus Association. It's a female heifer sale.
October 12th.
What's going
Female
on?
heifer.
What's going on with the Bonham cell barn? It's been empty for a long time. Anybody showed any interest there? You know?
I used to hear things like somebody was looking at it or something lately. No,
Yeah, I think I called on it last year. I think they wanted like $700,000 for it.
is that
It's like,
right?
oh yeah, let me write a check. You know, so yeah, right across there from Jones Field.
It's not a bad facility.
No, it's
you
not a
know.
bad facility. So you should go buy it. Start
No.
it. Come on now.
No, it got. Yeah, that was a good sale barn for a long time.
On the
when
cow
we
and the
moved
milk.
here.
Yeah, I heard there was some kind of, and I don't this is totally gossip. I heard there was maybe some shady things that happened that kind of ran some people off, and it kind of got a bad name for itself for a little bit. And I know that a lot of the people hated that because it had been a good barn for a long time.
That's exactly right. And once people lost confidence in it, it never was able to regain it.
It's a hard thing to get back, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I always thought it would be a fun endeavor to run a sale barn, but it seems like it's a cutthroat world out there. There's a lot of sale barns around, you know.
It's a lot of hard work. If we go to Durant, if we have that Jeff Hazlitt's up there does a very good job. That's a very nice
Sure.
sale barn.
I think Dad I think he goes to Durant. I think he goes to Emory.
Emory.
Yeah, Emory's
is
good.
the only one I know.
And Sulphur Springs and Paris.
Yeah.
So
They're all good barns. They have
Yeah.
2 barns in Paris now, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't. That's
It's one of those things that I always like to go to with no interest whatsoever. I mean, other than just curiosity, but
Right.
no other interest to go just hang out at the auction barn on a Saturday.
You'd really have to know what you're doing to run a sale barn.
Yeah.
No. I'm just saying as
yeah.
a spectator, just to go like on a Saturday, nothing else to do. I'll go to the sale barn.
You know what I
see
like
what's
about
going
it
on.
as a large man, I love the little dining rooms they have there, the little
Oh, yeah.
cafes. You always get some good home cooking there.
There we
So,
go.
Yeah, that's right. That's
I always go and get like I guess what you consider like soul food, right? Like cabbage and and neck bone, whatever. I love it. So that's my contribution.
Cool. So with 400 head of cattle, you must have to supply them with an awful lot of feed and equipment. Where might you go to get that?
well, we try
Nice
to
segue.
we try to buy locally.
There's this
If
store.
one were in Leonard or Bell's, where would they go?
Stop dancing around it.
Yeah.
Where would you go?
We do raise an awful lot of hay, and we make haylage out of the hay, which is kind of a new thing for beef cattle people. The dairy people have done it forever.
Really?
You may see those
haylage?
big white bales
Yeah.
around. That's
The
probably-
big square bells, or they
No, these
round?
are big white round bales. Looks like a big marshmallow. You'll see them sitting around. Those are probably ours. You bale the hay green, and we wrap it in that plastic, and then it ferments in there. Makes like haylage or like silage.
I'm
Okay.
completely unfamiliar with that. Wow.
So it just decomposes within.
Right. It ferments and it makes a very good feed. It's a high protein, and it's real helpful to us in the spring because we do a lot of oats, and we don't have to wait for it to cure. We just cut it one day and then roll it the next
Sure.
because you want to do it about 50% moisture. So
it's pretty efficient then.
it's real efficient.
It's funny. People have strong feelings about hay and whatnot. I've been told, I've known people that have cattle and they also cut their own. They have their own hay meadows, and I've been told by some people to say, no, you either need to be in the cattle business or the hay business, not both. And it's funny how strongly people feel about it one way or the other.
Well, that's a good point. We used to raise wheat,
Sure.
and we decided that was just too many different endeavors.
Sure.
So we do our own hay,
Right.
which is
Not fun.
well, we don't mind. It's a lot different than it
Round
used to
bales are
be.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot easier to move with a tractor than throwing square bells on a trailer. Right.
Yeah.
We were doing square bells about a month ago, and throwing them on the trailer. And I had this good idea to put a big misting system on the trailer. And these outrigger shade, covered shade area. One day I'm going to build a really, really cool hay trailer.
You're going to sell
City
4 of them.
folk.
I'll sell 4.
It'll be
They're
awesome.
going to laugh at you.
Somebody will, yeah.
Well, we use these accumulators that puts 10 bales in a flat pattern on the floor on the ground, and then you come along with a grappler and pick it up.
Technology's a wonderful
Yeah.
thing.
But now this year we have what you call a bale baron, which is what it is actually is a big hay baler that you go along and you gather up. You just go along and you pick up the square bales, the small square bales, and it takes 21 bales and makes them into one big bale.
Oh, cool.
So it really saves. And I grew up kind of like you, picking up loading
Yeah.
hay. Everybody did that. I did it when I was young.
I think everybody
Yeah,
does.
everybody's
I
got a
gotta-
taste
Yeah.
of it.
I got a healthy
We've all
dose of
done it.
that.
But this is a lot easier. And then you handle it with you have a regular grappler that picks it up. And
Well, so I have a question on your cattle philosophy, just 'cause I'm curious about these
Yeah.
things and interested. So you've got, say, your commercial herd, you've got 200 head. If you have a mama cow that misses, she goes open, Do you sell her or do you keep her for the next year?
Well, it kind of depends on what happens and what kind of cow she is.
Sure.
Some of the time they'll abort a cow for some reason
For
that's
whatever.
not hers or some,
Right.
But we watch pretty close, and they have these programs. We use Cattle Max, which is a pretty good program, and you can tell if you have a cow who continue to lose a calf or is real hard to breed,
Sure.
that she just goes to the market.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So it's situational then for sure.
Right. It's situational, and after you do that for a while, then you get a herd that's pretty reliable. You don't.
Sure.
Yeah.
You call out the.
Yeah. You call out the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it. We've always kind of just taken them, but what's interesting to me now is the like you said, Cattle Max. The introduction of technology into ranching has really helped things come along. I think I read a stat the other day that the majority, I can't remember the exact percentage, but the majority of beef in the United States comes from herds of less than 100, which
Wow.
when you think about that, it doesn't seem to make sense because I think of all these big ranches in Wyoming and Montana and
I was
South
going to
Texas.
ask how big your herd is on average scale in Texas, for example.
a 200 head
It's a lot,
commercial
yeah.
herd is a big herd. That's not a small herd.
I'm sure
That's-
Kingsville has some like million head herds
Well,
or something. But
What you're saying, I think I've always heard it's the average cow herd size in the United States is 30 to 40.
So that's
that's
I think my dad has like 52, so he's kind of
So
right
that-
there.
yeah.
So that falls in with just about every farming outfit
Right.
close to us.
Well, you got to think about it, right? All your cattle in this area, and I think up here it's probably 5 acres to the head, 4 maybe, depending on if it's improved or whatever.
right.
So it takes a lot of land
So-
to run run a profitable cattle business.
pick an operation in Amarillo or the Panhandle. What are they running?
Oh,
what are
geez.
those
Well,
herds?
it's hard to compare it because out there, you might have a ranch out there that's 40,000 acres,
right.
but you might sustain one cow on
Different
100
kind of
acres.
vegetation
Yeah.
out there
Right.
too.
Right.
It's altogether different, and those operations like that now have a hard time, sustaining themselves
Right.
really. Around here, you hear that how many cows can you do per acre? Around here, we
It's a
don't
good
depend
question.
on that a whole lot because we raise our own, we feed a lot.
Sure. Yeah, I think we talked to somebody out. They had a ranch out near Alpine, and I think it was 100 acres to the head is what they were
Yeah.
running. Which is crazy to me,
Wow.
right? And they had like a 200 head commercial, but their spread was huge.
Jeez.
So it's definitely a different game depending on where you are.
Yeah, you're
So,
right. It's a different. Yeah.
It's a whole different
Totally
endeavor
different.
out there than it is here.
Yeah.
So
So how do you get into the country store game?
Well, we were beginning to get quite a few cows back. I forget when we started the stores.
2007.
Yeah, that's it.
Matthew's our investigative journalist.
Yeah, that's
here.
good. But we
Scoop Harvey.
Matthew Scoop Harvey.
Scoops Callahan.
we were having. I don't remember.
scoops.
I don't think we had a store here then.
That's
And it
just
was
what the
hard-
website said.
It was hard to get.
So it came
No,
out of-
I mean,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
it was hard to get. There just wasn't a local store.
So it came out of necessity.
Well, there was one where Butch works, the auto parts store.
That's right.
For a long time, there was one,
Yeah.
and then we went for years without
Right.
without one, and then you came along.
But they. And
Yeah,
I
that's
kind
right.
of.
feed store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, well, I started talking to people in Purina primarily, and my idea was maybe to just have enough feed to help ourselves, and Purina did a very good job.
Supplement what you're.
What
you're
we were
buying,
trying
yeah.
to do, but they talked us into really putting in a full-blown store, and I'm
Yeah.
glad they did. It was a good.
I think
It
we're all
is.
glad you did.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You spruced up that corner too.
Yeah.
Looks really nice. I don't even know what was there before. I can't remember now.
I don't remember either.
Well, Pee Wee Feldman had kind of a.
Oh, his road business, right?
Yeah, there, and-
asphalting.
But something else was in there. I don't remember what it was either. Well, there was a guy in that building where the feed store is. Part of it that sold the movies. What was what do you call that?
VHS DVDs.
Yeah,
I'm not touching that question.
I don't know.
That was a pretty
Literally.
big business for a while. Then it went away, because of the.
Oh, that's right. It was. There was a. Remember Rick Brewer worked at the one in Greenville, and they made they copied DVDs. And it was like a manufacturing.
Okay.
It wasn't like a movie store. It
Yeah.
was like where they actually made them. It was Chris Lord's family.
Okay.
They had it.
Well,
Wow.
what was? Oh, what do they call that? Where they sold the DVDs for movies. And there aren't any left. The last one I read somewhere was in Alaska.
Oh,
Not a blockbuster.
Blockbuster. That's right. Yeah,
it wasn't Blockbuster, but it was something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
They there's one Blockbuster left, and it's got a Twitter, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's an organ.
There's one in Alaska still. So yeah.
I don't know where I read that.
Apparently, there's still a VHS and DVD store in Bonham too.
Yeah, there is.
Really weird.
It has a snow cone standing in front of it.
Yeah,
There's
Center
two
Street.
reasons to stop in there.
Yeah, when you want to watch Goodwill Hunting and get a snow cone.
Yep.
What's snow cones of VHS or snow cones of DVDs?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your pick.
Um,
Depending on whatever you have in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're still rocking VHS, you
Think
can get
about it.
there.
If you wanted to watch the Cowboys Super Bowls, we probably don't have the technology to do so because mine's in the attic.
Yeah.
You know, that's how long it's been. Sorry.
VHS.
I have one I'm hanging on to.
R.I.P. VHS. You guys selling a bunch of feed there, as well as gardening goods, right?
the stores
plants.
have done very well. At Leonard's store, that's another thing I'll say about Leonard. Leonard is very receptive to new businesses and new things that come to town. And the Leonard store has done very well. We do sell a lot of feed and a lot of the other products. Now, the store in Bells, which we started in.
How long has that been going?
He's asking
I'm
you.
sorry.
Andy.
Oh, no,
Come on,
no,
2 scoops.
He did. He did point at me.
I've got it here.
Oh, he made notes too.
Hey, I like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
2013.
There we go.
You are a reporter.
Matthew 2 Scoops Harvey fails.
And that store's done real well, but the store is a little bit different. It surprised me, and you might know this. It's we sell more bulk feed and more cattle feed up there, and less of the other stuff.
Really?
It's more of a. There's more cattle in that part of the state, which surprised
Wow.
me a little bit.
Not that far from here.
No, it's not 20 miles away,
just
but
up
the
the road.
business model is quite a bit different.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's another small town too.
yes.
They're
yeah.
about the same size, aren't they?
I think they're a little smaller than
I
us.
think it's smaller. Bells
Yeah.
doesn't have. Leonard has the square, and Leonard is
A lot different.
phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a happening place now that the 12 o'clock siren podcast is
Yeah.
popping here.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got we can add broadcasting into
We have
the,
one extra car here a week
3
because
today.
of this thing.
3 today, 4 today, I guess. What do you remember of the square when you first moved here? It's a lot has come and go. What sticks out?
Oh, I don't know. I think we enjoyed it. The square was fun. Everybody. When we had the graphic, about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and in the morning too. A lot of times, people would just mosey on down to the drugstore and have a cup of coffee there at the counter. I don't
Yeah.
see that. There might be still some people doing it.
Yeah.
But there was quite a group of people that did
Oh,
that
yeah.
then, and it was fun.
Cool.
It was.
Tends to happen at Quick Check now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
This was
There's probably 6 or 8 people that are
Yeah.
steady there.
in one of the buildings where we are. I think it's where our office is, where the Bear Creek office is. There was a barbershop.
Okay.
Kenneth Thornton and Shorty.
Kenneth Thornton.
I feel like
Yeah,
I
he
know
was-
that name.
He was a county commissioner in
Was he
Hunt County. He's the barber. He's about 6'5", and the
Yeah.
other barber in there they called him Shorty, and I'll be darned if I can remember his name. But
He was probably 6'2".
no, he was he was 4 something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you go in there and get your hair cut. It was. The square was fun. Of course,
he would have to pump his chair.
yeah,
up to
yeah.
cut, right.
he stood on a box.
Yeah, I bet.
He stood on a box behind the chair, and then there's Kenneth. And of course, Flanagan's Hardware was there. Flanagan's Hardware store. There were there was a lot of business on the.
Is that what was in the pink building, Flanagan's?
I think it was the Goldings thing.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
About what year are you referring to?
Oh. In the mid '80s. I
Oh, okay.
guess. Yeah.
When did
and earlier.
when did Piggly Wiggly leave the square?
Whoa. Piggly Wiggly.
Well, that was pretty quick after we got the.
Around the
Oh,
same
wait a
time,
minute.
correct?
Yeah, it might have been about the time we got the. Well, it was Piggly Wiggly. It was B&B grocery store.
Yeah.
on the
Yes.
square,
Yes.
Where the
B&B
library,
on the
where the
square.
library is.
I'm sorry.
okay.
And then Piggly Wiggly, they built a store out there where B&B
Right,
was.
yeah.
Ah,
That was Piggly Wiggly.
You-
And I
you're right.
think that was all in that early 80s,
Okay.
really early 80s time frame. And then Arvis and Garvis, who owned B&B, they bought the
Yeah.
Piggly Wiggly.
Okay.
Huh.
I just vaguely
that
remember
was-
there being a store on the square there where the library's at. I was little.
That was there when we moved. That was B&B. And I think there was a store over here. I'm not sure your building.
I was
when
about
the
to say, what do you remember about this this building?
I think there may have been a grocery store over here that didn't.
I'd
that
heard
was-
that.
Yeah. And
Somebody-
then from then, I don't think the feed store was in here, not the front part, but in this building. Shoot,
Lumberyard's been here forever.
the lumberyard's here forever. Lumberyard was here when we moved here.
Yeah.
It was and of course the OK Feed Mill, which Tom Heimer. I don't know if Tom was here when you guys.
Okay,
I didn't
feed
move
mill?
here till like 96 or something.
Was there a feed mill back here on the
He-
railroad tracks?
Yeah, he was the owner originally, and then when we moved here, Jerry Blackader owned it.
Okay.
And it was a good sized feed store, and they bought grain and everything. So it was busy here in the summer during the wheat harvest and all that because
So you got farmers dropping off grain directly here and
yeah,
training it off, I guess.
They Jerry would buy it and sell
A
it.
lot more train activity
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah. No, can you get into any? You know anything about trains used to come through here? Or there's not
No, I
much
don't
anymore.
because the depot. It's kind of too bad the depot's still not here.
Yeah.
But it was there when we first came. But
All right.
no,
so
I don't remember the trains ever stopping
let's
there.
talk about the depot then.
Was
Like
BNSF?
like with the platform and everything.
The platform was there in the old depot building, but I don't. That
I think that resides out on 1553 now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They moved it.
yeah.
I think Jackie Bonds, maybe.
Bob Part, yeah. And
Yeah.
that was kind of neat.
Yeah. Was it Burlington Northern or was it Kansas City Southern? I don't know. I don't know what the lines were. Be interesting to find out.
Well, I think it was Kansas City Southern. It went, and then there was a line. There's still a line that goes through once in a while. That's I don't know what they call that.
I think it's Union Pacific now.
Probably.
Fun fact about James Hartley and sitting in the 6 o'clock spot here. I got offered jobs from both Kansas City Southern and Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railways. Yeah, but I chose pass in technology instead.
Mr. Johnson is actually
Scoreboard.
from just north of Kansas City.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
Atchison, Kansas, which was Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. That's
Yeah.
You just took the railroad right down here, huh?
Just
Hopped
got
on
off
the-
here.
Hopped on the caboose.
Yeah. Oh man, I had a good question too. Oh, I was actually going to point out. So you could at one point get cubes and mineral block here, and now you can get your local news and community and entertainment here via the 12 o'clock siren. Just a few
that's
years
good.
apart. Yeah.
Cube suggestions.
Yep.
2 stores, one in Leonard, one in Bells. That grew pretty quick, I guess.
the store in Bells. We bought it.
Oh, okay. It
From-
was
There was Hadley Whiting, I think was his name, and he's a veterinarian,
okay.
and he built the store, and then he was too busy with his vet business, so we bought the store from him.
You said Purina earlier. They're kind of like a partner or franchise, or is it something like that, or is the Bell store Purina?
Is that
as
just
well?
who you
We're-
get your feed
That's
through?
just
They're like
that's just one of the companies we buy feed from.
Right. So they're
Purina though helped us really establish the store and get it going here.
yeah.
And that store up there was also a Purina dealer. We're a dealer for Purina.
Right. Exclusively or
No,
probably
they
offer
have
all
other.
kinds of stuff.
They have other. They try to protect an area a little bit, but they're yeah.
doing the best they can in that regard.
Yeah. But we have other people. We sell a lot of livestock nutrition center feed and everything. We have other.
Yeah, a lot of stuff around that.
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah.
Hay bale rings and feeder bins, I guess.
You sell
wagons.
like Wormer, like Avamec and
Yes,
stuff like that?
yes. We have quite a few chemicals and wormer,
Right.
Ivermectin, all kinds of products like that.
Guards
Well, they're
and-
We
proud
can
of
sell
that stuff.
horseshoes.
Yeah. Do y'all do like fertilizer or anything? Or you still need to go to like Greenville?
No, we
or
don't
White
do
Rock?
fertilizer. We don't. That's kind of a different ballgame altogether.
Sure.
Want to give a shout out to your crew there?
The people at the stores.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, the stores do great. Drew and Arturo and Blaine. You know Blaine, Blaine David Alexander started working at the store when he was 12. And when we were having the meetings with Purina, I just took Blaine with me.
Cool.
Oh,
And,
that's
his dad, John Alexander.
it's a
he
great
went with me.
education.
Yeah,
John gave me my first job.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's
as
right.
A landscape crew.
And Blaine emceed the chamber luncheon the other
Yeah, he
day.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did very well.
yeah.
Yep.
But he grew up in those stores, and he loves
He knows
it.
it front and back. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
Did he go to school for that?
Well, he majored. He went to Kansas State and majored in agriculture business.
So he loves it.
Yeah, he likes it.
That's cool.
He's back now. He's a general manager for the stores, and he also helps with the.
Is
with the
John
cows.
affiliated with it?
Yeah, John's been at the store since it started. You
Okay.
know, he runs the landscape
Yeah.
side of the business and everything.
Yeah,
And he-
back in when I was 15 or so, we were. I don't know if it was for him or Kevin, sure, but I was cloning moss or something, and they had some greenhouse way north of here. I hope that's what it was. I might be outing some people.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure not moss. It was vines, whatever those spreading vines for your
An ivy, if
an
you will.
ivy. Thank you very much. Yeah, but we were cloning him in some
My-
steroid or whatever. And then
My passion is gardening.
Hey, that's fine. You do have a green thumb.
Yep.
yeah, John's had that landscape business since.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. Plus, he runs the gardening part of the store.
Yeah.
Both stores really.
Yeah, I got some.
Yeah.
I got some elephant ears for my mom for Mother's Day up there.
That's good.
Y'all do a little bit of everything there.
Yeah, we do. It's nice, and it's because of John that we can have
Family
the
business
landscaping.
too. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Who's running the Bell's store?
Arturo Facundo.
Okay, you just
Yeah,
mentioned.
yeah, he started with the farm, and then he came to Leonard, and then he goes up there.
Cool.
Any endeavors in the future? Anything on the horizon here? I saw when I mentioned the Bonham sale barn, you got a little perked up a little bit there.
No.
You did a little.
Yeah, it was a. Oh, is that still for sale? Kind of. I can see the gears turning.
It's come down.
No,
a
I
little bit.
think Jeannie puts a pretty close rein on me now. I don't.
Oh yeah. Tighten that choke.
Yeah.
That choker up.
I think one of the first times I'd spent time with you is maybe on a fishing trip out at your place with the church. Long time
Oh
ago.
yeah.
And you guys used to do some fishing events out there. Y'all have a nice pond.
Yeah.
I remember going out there, youth group maybe, or it could've
Probably
been like
so.
a men's
Yeah.
event or a official event.
We should take the podcast out there and do a fishing show.
We should.
Yeah, there you go.
We
Can we
should.
do that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have several ponds that are good for.
Are
There
you
we
an
go.
angler?
Not really. I grew up doing that, but I just kind of I don't fish much anymore. I like it still, but I just don't do it.
Did you ever hunt?
There again, I did it when I was a kid. When I was little, I hunted a lot, but I don't know. I just kind of I don't do it much anymore. The only thing we hunt now is wild hogs. But
Oh, well, yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of like rat killing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a little different. That's
Yeah.
eradication.
yeah.
So you
Well, they're
grew
a
up,
problem around here.
grew up farming and just kind of kept with it.
Yeah, I grew up on. We had a small farm, and I worked with the farmers around there my whole growing up.
That was-
How often do you get back to Kansas?
Well, we just got back. We
Really?
were up there last weekend. Jeannie has 7 brothers and sisters up there from Leavenworth.
oh wow.
Okay.
So we were up there visiting them. We stayed in Kansas City, actually, Missouri.
isn't the geographical center of the United States
Topeka.
somewhere in Kansas? Is it Topeka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just a little gee whiz information for you there.
That's got to be true. He knew it way too quick.
He did. He did.
I think that's why Blaine went to Kansas State. He's been hearing those Kansas stories
Yeah.
all his life. So
Did it
Kansas State. Are they the Jayhawks or is that?
no, that's Wildcats.
So they're the
Kansas
Wildcats.
Jayhawks.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
They're
Got it.
purple.
They're purple.
Manhattan.
Yep.
Yeah, Manhattan. That's right.
Yeah.
The Jayhawks are in Lawrence.
Nice. Okay, got it. And there's no, not J.D. Ryan. I was going to say J.D. Ryan from the Russ Martin Show, but it's actually I think it's a guy from WBAP. He's from Liberal, Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's at the other end of the spectrum. That's Atchison is right in the northeast corner, just across the river, and 20 miles down from St. Joe. Liberal is across the panhandle from Amarillo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's at the other end of the
Gotcha. Different state
spectrum.
almost.
Yeah, it is. It
Right.
really is.
Yeah.
We're hilly and trees, a lot like here.
And
In
they're high
Atchison.
plains.
They're high plains. That's same.
I got a buddy that just got orders to Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls, Montana.
Oh,
And talk about high plains. I went up there one time, and I was in Helena, and we drove up to Malmstrom, and you kind of go up, and they called Montana Big Sky Country.
Yes.
And it felt like the roof of the world got lower. Like it felt like we were so close to the sky. It was a really weird feeling, and it was very plains-like. It was an interesting thing. It always stuck with me. That was years ago. Anyway, there's some more G-Wiz information for you.
Kansas is pretty.
Yeah, I've never been.
Well, a lot of people kind of get the wrong impression if they drive across western Kansas. Not a whole lot to see.
Sure.
It's
It's like
just
eastern
west-
Colorado.
Yeah.
It's flat.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think we're about wrapped up.
we got some questions.
Do you,
Before, if you don't mind.
yeah, hop in there, Jason.
Yeah, if you don't mind. I mentioned we were going to have you on to some people in my circle. And some names came up. So if you don't mind, I'd like to throw a couple names at you. And you just tell me a story that pops into your head, okay?
If you have one.
If that's okay.
I like this game. Is this the new Jason Friday faves?
This is per request. If
I'm
you
on
don't,
edge
if you
already.
don't mind. So I'm going to bounce a name off of you. You just tell me quickly a little story about that person.
All right.
Matt Grimes.
Oh, Mac. Mac, you were talking about the people we met. Mac was one of the first people we met when we moved here.
Mm-hmm.
And Mac was one of a kind. He was a good fellow. He ran the service center when we moved here. And, of course, his wife, Patsy, worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
But Mac was a good guy. I told this at his funeral. Mac and I were pretty good friends, and I would borrow stuff from Mac all the time, and he was real good. It's very good-hearted. And I asked him once, I said, Mac, why don't you ever borrow anything from me? And he says, you don't have anything I want to borrow. Mac was a good fella.
Alrighty. Mac was a good guy. My dad worked for Mac a long time ago, framing houses, and he thought a lot of Mac.
Well, Mac built our house not the one we live in now, but when we moved from the first place to the next one, Mac built it.
I know everybody around here thought a lot of Mac.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Yachty Albright.
I really didn't know Yachty that well. The only
You know him well enough to laugh like that.
well,
You got something.
it's really some of the stories I heard about. Yeah, I never really knew Yachty.
Okay, so it's one of those stories.
All right, maybe after.
Yeah.
Troy Berry.
Troy was kind of well, you guys probably didn't know Troy.
I remember a little bit of Troy. If you could just fill our listeners in on what Troy was like.
Troy was a big old guy. When he would walk around town, he'd yell, "Woo!" He's kind of. But Troy ran the. I'm remembering now. Troy ran the. We used to have a garbage dump.
Yeah,
out
the
here.
dump.
The
dump ground. Mm-hmm.
And Troy, you'd go out there. Troy would be laying down asleep, and it kind of had a little shack there.
This is the second time we've heard
you
this
heard-
story on this show.
Flies crying out.
Oh,
well,
my
have you
God.
heard the one where you go in and dust the flies off Troy, and he'd come too? But I took some trash out there once, and Troy said, "Now, who are you? Where do you come from?" And I told him we just moved there, and he said, he asked me if I had any kids, and I said, "Yeah, we have 2 little girls." He said, "I've got a couple of girls." He said, "And they've just been great. They're just great kids. One of them's getting married next week, and she's so good. I told her just come out here and pick out whatever she wanted." Yeah, Troy was,
Wow. That's incredible.
That is incredible. That's funny. This is the second time we've heard him about sleeping.
Who
This is
told us-
Eugene.
Was it
It
Eugene?
was Eugene telling us about him
Yeah.
sleeping in the dump. They also told a story about him getting arrested in Honey Grove and walking all the way from Honey Grove
That's right.
to
yeah.
Leonard in shackles.
Well,
Now, the whole
I hadn't
town
heard
he
that.
claims this.
Now, the whole
Yeah, I
town
mean-
couldn't have seen him on that one day he
Yeah.
was at the
Yeah.
dump. So this must have been a regular occurrence.
Oh, he would, he
was
ran
known
it up
for
for
it.
a few years. I never heard the,
Yeah.
but
Also-
I did hear, I don't know if it's true, that he was the last person in the Leonard jail.
Yeah, we heard that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, like purposely,
Yeah.
Well, we have some questions here.
Do you have any more, Jason? That was
No,
fun.
that's all I got for you.
I was gonna say we should. You got a bunch of names off this. We should have
That
maybe
actually
a
came
jar
from
of names.
that came from Garrett, but
That's a good idea.
that might
Garrett.
be a good idea for a segment. We'll just put some Leonard names.
Just depending
and
on who the guest is, maybe just pull the jar of names and give us a story about.
maybe we
whoever
could
it
get
was.
you back, and maybe we get Eugene, and we just
You
have
have any-
a rap
any-
session.
man.
Just before we go, do you have any last minute random stories that stick out? Maybe
You
over
feel
No,
your
like you need to share?
Not really, but I'll tell you
for better or for worse.
a good friend who was kind of, he was good for Leonard. He was a mayor for a while and a good fella, was B.C. Dunman. I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
if you,
Yeah,
he was, like I was talking about the people when we go to the drugstore, and BC,
Yeah.
he drank coffee in every stop in town, and we'd be in the drugstore, it'd be 10:30, and he said, I got to get out of here. I'm going to miss my coffee break at the Dairy Queen. At Tom's, people were going to Tom's then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
BC would drink coffee anywhere he could smoke a cigarette. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah. I do remember that of BC.
And
Is
then
that,
when
is that
they,
Brandon's?
Yeah, it's his grandpa. Yeah.
Gotcha.
he was a good fella.
Yeah,
He was
I
good.
liked BC a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I like the idea of the name drawing.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need to
absolutely.
work that in.
Uh,
was
All
good.
right, so we do
Good
have
session.
some questions for you.
5 questions before you go, just kind
these
of random
are
questions.
randomly drawn from the jar here.
Actually, I discriminated against mine. I picked through them.
Yeah, I usually pick
just say,
through.
just say that random.
Who is the most famous person you've ever met?
Ooh, there we go.
Ooh.
Ronald Reagan, I bet.
Yeah, I mean,
No. Oh, gosh, no, I don't know. I've
All
got
right.
to,
well, think about
who,
that.
Who are you
Yeah.
thinking about right now?
I don't know. I've got to,
Have you ever met an actor?
no,
Have you ever met a country music superstar?
but I have watched this.
I think you're pigeonholing him.
Does Sammy
country.
Sadler count?
Have you ever met a politician?
I think probably the most, I met some of the Kansas City Chiefs football players,
Oh,
Jerry
okay.
Mays and people like that.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
What year?
Well, this would have been around 68, 69, and
Yeah, I was about to say
70.
the names. I
Yeah.
didn't.
A little before my time.
You know, now that this country western thing, Charlie Pride, I used
There
to
you
fly
go.
to Southwest and Houston a lot when we first moved here.
Sure.
And I would go down there and there'd be Charlie Pride standing there waiting to get on a plane.
Oh, wow.
And you could just go up and visit with him and everything,
Cool.
you know.
So did you talk to him?
Yeah, I talked to him. I didn't
There
ever
you go.
ask him for.
Well, sure.
I've heard
That's
he's
fair.
really down to earth.
Oh, he would just be standing there and visit with everybody, and some people would ask him for.
Autographs and whatnot.
Yeah, and I never, you know.
It's funny you say that. I asked this question to my wife the other day, and her answer was Charlie Pride.
Oh, that's
Wow.
funny.
I swear.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Wow, there you go.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
You know
Jason.
the other one.
Oh.
One more. You remember the Admiral Club? I don't know if at the
American Airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to have. Yeah,
They
Yeah,
still
they
got
still
them. Yeah.
I went in to meet some. I was going to pick some people up at the airport once, and they were late coming in, so I went in the Admiral Club, and I'm sitting there waiting, and there's the bartender and myself and Mickey Mantle.
Oh, cool.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
And they're just sitting there telling stories, and I kind of told stories with them. And now I wish, well, why didn't I introduce myself? Or, why didn't I
That leads me-
acknowledge that he was Mickey Mantle? I just,
Sure.
He was
Yeah.
local around here.
I
wasn't
think he lived in Dallas
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
That leads me to my next question. Who's more famous, Mickey Mantle or Charlie Pride?
Oh, I don't.
Probably Mickey Mantle, I would
Probably
think.
Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Quite a bit. Probably.
Baseball speaks to everyone.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jason.
All right. If you could tell me your best and your worst job that you've ever had.
Oh.
Outside of what you're doing now, which running Bear
Oh,
Creek,
I can
or-
tell you the best job. This is not.
Okay.
Jeannie will be mad at me.
Uh-oh.
We won't tell her.
Yeah.
The best job was when I was in high school. I always worked with these farmers and everything. We had a seed company there, seed store, manufacturing, Mangelsdorf Seed Company, and they raised hybrid corn,
Yeah.
and they would have you detassel the corn.
Okay.
You'd go into a field and they'd have 6 rows that are a little bit shorter.
Sure.
Sounds
They
like the
called them
worst
the
job.
female rows, and then they had the
Yeah.
tall rows on the end of the male rows, and you had to pull the tassels out of the 6 shorter rows.
And you're saying this is the best job.
Yeah, well, the reason was
Oh,
what made it so good is you drove this machine. Somebody
okay.
had to drive this machine, and I got to do that.
Yeah.
And it was a real tall machine, so they could be higher out of the corn. And you had 6 girls on there. No, you had 4 girls that are pulling the tassels
There you
out.
go.
So we
There
were
we go.
all.
all right.
You went,
You got to
and we
interact
were all
with
high
the,
school.
Yeah, I was about to say you're a smart teenager. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
I'll take the driver's job.
Yeah, well,
Before I joined the military, I worked at the Dillards in Sherman Mall, and I was the dock guy, which basically
Remember
that comprised of taking hangers back to the dock. But I got to go visit with all the girls that ran all the departments. It was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Oh,
Great.
cool.
Yeah, it was great for an 18, 19-year-old. So, okay, here we go.
Question number 2.
3.
Sorry.
Besides children and marriage and all the things you're supposed to say, what is your proudest moment outside of family and all that?
Oh, I don't know. I really, I don't know. It's my proudest, but it's the most enjoyable. Is probably I was in the Navy for 4 years. I was a CB.
Oh, great! Yeah,
And I loved that. I was very lucky. I was in Morocco for 18 months and went from there to Spain for about 10 months.
What was
and then
your
Bermuda. So
what was your specialty?
I was a construction electrician mate in the Seabees.
Well, a good friend of mine is a construction electrician.
Is
in the
that right?
Seabees, to this day, yeah, he's in the reserves now.
Sorry, CB.
It's the construction battalions in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was. I loved it. It was a very, very good experience for me. It was.
Yeah, sounds like it. Morocco, Spain, Bermuda. So were you an Eastern sailor then on the East Coast, or?
Yeah, I was in the Sixth Fleet. Out of the Sixth Fleet, we were. We were Davisville, Rhode Island is where we went in the winter.
Okay.
And we even enjoyed Davisville. That was.
Well, sure. Rhode Island's not a bad place.
No, we enjoyed it. The whole thing was. It was a very good experience. Kind of a.
What year was that?
Well, I went in the Navy in 1957, and I got out in 1961.
Geez, you were.
I'm older than I look.
You probably served with Mr. Perot then. Ross Perot was Annapolis grad, and he was in the 50s and early 60s, I think.
Yeah, we ran in a different crowd. We did.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Question number 4. Is there a movie that you can quote from start to finish?
Oh.
You got to have a favorite,
badge. I don't need no badge.
All right. Last question. What is your first memory of Leonard?
Yeah.
Oh.
Your first coherent memory.
Are you talking about where we? The first thing I remember is just kind of being excited when we saw the place that we finally decided to buy. We had looked at it once, and then we decided not to do it, and then we came back. And then when we came back, it was kind of exciting to just be walking out there on your own place and everything.
Sure.
And I don't know. We always really enjoyed the Leonard picnics, and that kind of thing. Leonard has been a very good experience for us. We like the people. It's been it was a good move.
Yeah, well, we both Matthew and I have came back. This is our second time around, huh?
Yeah.
So
we moved here.
Well, and that's good.
Yep.
And the only thing I would say about that is when I first moved to Leonard, the very good thing about Leonard is I've never been a joiner. I'm not much of a club joiner or anything like that. Leonard had a Kiwanis club here that was very, very good and very active. Eugene was big in it, Arvis and Garvis.
Yeah.
And it was very good. Leonard was a very good community. All the preachers took part, in the city activities and everything. And I think it's great that people your age are moving back. But it's important to get involved in the city, like
Absolutely.
with the chamber and things like that. It's important to take part in the city, in
Business.
the community, not just the city,
Sure.
but the whole.
Sure.
The whole community.
We're trying to do a little part of that here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. This is great.
bringing-
This is great. Yeah.
we're
bringing it all together.
Yeah, trying to get the history of Leonard, and also to kind of look forward into the new business owners and kind of pull it all in and be a part of the community. That's kind of the thought here. So, well,
Thank you very much for taking
Thank
the
you.
time out of your Thursday evening to talk with us here, chit chat about this and that. We'd love to have you back anytime you'd
Yeah,
like.
it's been a lot of fun. We'd like to get you back on here sometime.
Oh, thank you. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
no, that's perfect. That's what we
It
want.
sounded great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, fellas, we want to, what do you guys want to do here?
Just play us out, I guess.
What do you think you want to play it out with?
Can I hear Dallas?
All right.